Hello guys, welcome back. In this video, let us learn about how to create a document DB for our need. How to create document DB database. So in that database, we have seen cluster and within that many instances are there, right? Yes, we need to create those right now from lab. So you can see here, open your AWS Management Console and click on services option. So whenever you click on services option, you can see like this. Under the database session, you can see Amazon Document DB, right? Yes, you first click on it so that Amazon Document DB will be opened. So if you have not found this, then click here and on the search bar, you write Document DB so that it will show you the option of Amazon Document DB. Now click on that. So now I'm clicking here. After this will be forwarded. So whenever you're newly opening this document DB dashboard, then it will be like this. Since I'm newly opening, I do not have any clusters. So I'd like to create one now for this lab so that I'm just clicking on create. So after clicking create, you will be redirected to this page. You can see here cluster identifier. So among clusters, you want to identify a cluster, right? So for that, you need to provide the cluster name for this. I'm putting the cluster name as my cluster. This is the name which is visible under my clusters. Previously, I have seen no clusters are available. After creation, we can able to see this. Next, we have instance class. So what is the instance type that you need to provide for instances? So in cluster, you have seen many instances, right? So I think those who watched the previous video, they have seen many database instances inside document DB cluster. So for those instances, here you are selecting the instance type. And here you are configuring the number of instances. How many number of instances you want in your cluster. So simply I want 3 so that I just 3 here. And then next authentication. Here you need to provide what is the master user name and password. So whenever you're using that database, it must ask you some username and password so that you need to provide these two things, this master username and password. These are the few things that you need to configure here. And then if you click on create, then it will create you the cluster based on your specified parameters. So since I am learning, this is a demo video, I would like to show you other settings as well so that I'm clicking on show advanced settings. You can see here network settings. Previously, we have up to authentication settings and we have create cluster. So whenever I am clicking it, we got network settings as well. So you can see here authentication settings I have provided, and in network, it will ask you, you have any specific VPC to put these document DB instances on, or else if you want to put in any particular, if you want to put this document DB cluster in any particular VPC, that you need to select. If you have no preference, then put it default itself. So under the subnet, you can have even ability to select under which subnet you want to create your cluster. And VP security group. This is very important. By using this only, you are allowing or denying the traffic to your cluster. So after selecting that, you have an options called port number. So that you need to provide in order to connect to your cluster. And if you have any specific cluster parameter group, then you need to provide here. After this, you can see encryption at rest. So if you want to provide encryption to your data after storing in your document DB, then you need to enable this. So here you can see after clicking on this, you have the available keys, you have the default key, or else if you want, you can use your my CMK, that is the customer managed key that I have created previously. So currently I want to move on with the default one. So at last you have backups as well. So we have even discussed about these backups. So you can see how many days you want to retain your backups. So if you put 1 day, up to 1 day, your backups will be maintained for this cluster, and you need to provide the time as well, duration and the starting time. So at that moment of time, daily the backups will be taken, and you have an option called logs. If you want to store your logs, if you want CloudWatch to capture the logs related to your profiles or logins to this cluster, document DB cluster, then you just enable here so that your logs will be created by using CloudWatch. So you can see a default IAM role here. In order to create these logs, it require permissions, right? So that will be provided by using this IAM role. So if you just scroll, you can see after that you have maintenance window. If you want any period of time where your instances updates or patchups, those will be applied. If you have any preference for that, then select here. So mostly if you hosting a production environment, then in that case you must need to select this, because you need to tell in which duration the traffic is less. So based on that you will update your or modify your patches or update your patches in your instances. So that's why you need to provide some day and time and how much duration, that those things you need to provide based on your preferences. It will be updated. Currently I'm not expecting, so I just click on no preferences. Then you can see tags here. You can able to provide tags here so that you can able to identify this by using the tags easily. And you can see at last deletion protection, it will be by default enabled. So whenever if somebody try to delete this document DB cluster, it will be protected. So while enabling this, the deletion is not possible for this cluster. So there you are, you have completed all the requirement steps. Now just click on create cluster so that your cluster will create. So you can see the message, your cluster, my cluster is being created. Now you can see the status is creating. You can see after some time your cluster status will reach to available state. That means your cluster is created. So now I'm just expecting to open this cluster. Just click on it so that this cluster will be opened. Even you can analyze how many instances that I configured, those many created here. I provided 3, so that 3 instances were created here. Now I just like to go and see inside my cluster, so that I'm clicking on this, so that it shows the dashboard like this. You can see we entered into our cluster. It shows us how to connect to the cluster and some details regarding cluster. If you want to connect to Mongo DB shell, then use this command. Or else if you want to connect to a cluster with some application, it also provides you some URL for that. These all related to connectivity and security. Let's see with configurations. So now I'm just clicking with you can see under configurations, we have ARN, Amazon resource name. By using this Amazon resource name, we can even use this, specify this particular cluster. And you can see the endpoints by using which you can able to connect. So this is a cluster endpoint. By using this, you can able to connect to this whole cluster. You can see the reader endpoints. If you connect to this, then it will be connected to the reader endpoints. What are the primary, except the primary database, what are the database you have, you will be connected to all those, so that you can able to process the query. You can able to request the query by using these reader endpoints. You can see multiple things were created. So let us see monitoring as well. Under monitoring also, since it's a newly created cluster, no more details available. Under events, there you can able to identify an event called just created, cluster created. So now let's see how many instances are created or which are creating. So let's click on this instances. So now I'm just clicking on this instance. Since while creating, we specified 3 instances in the cluster. You can see 3 instances are creating. You can see the status is creating. It will take you a bit moment of time. You can see the classes of it. So all the things which is having same class that we have specified previously, and in which VPC that we specified those VPC, in that VPC only these will be present. You can see after some time our cluster is created with instances. You can see the instances status becomes available. I have told you while explaining in the theory that your first cluster will be marked as a writer. That means any one of the cluster will be marked as a reader and writer mode, and other will be marked as a reader modes, right? Yes. So you can see one will be available for writing and all others will be available for reading mode. So even this cluster allows you for writing mode as well. So this is as simple as you can able to create your document DB cluster as well. So I hope you understood this video. From this video, you have understood how to create your document DB cluster and how to check with the endpoints, cluster endpoints and reader endpoints, and checking with instances which are created or not. So I hope this video is contentful. If you feel this video is contentful, then please like, share, subscribe and hit the bell icon to get the latest updates. See you back in the next video with another interesting topic. Until then, bye bye guys. Thanks for watching again.